Hello and welcome to Cutter Builds. We're back with another episode of Satisfactory, and we've done just a little bit of stuff off camera, mostly cleaning up the base, and we started to set up the next two levels of the factory. There's nothing on them yet. In fact, here, let me just jump up here, and as we go up, you can see the second floor is empty, and the top is now the space elevator again, which we haven't actually done anything with just yet other than hook it back up, which worked no problem. We do need our smart plating, our versatile frameworks, and our automated wiring, and after several episodes of messing around, now is finally the time to get this done. I think that I can actually just control click things into here. I don't have to actually belt them in, which is something that I thought I had to do from before. So we'll just drop those handful of smart platings that we were making ahead of time, left over from phase 1. And my intent today is to get pestered by the local wildlife, apparently. My intent today is to build out the factory to get these going, and I want to do so in a way that not only is going to be automated, but going to be sustainable. It's going to last for a little while, because all of these components that we're making right now are subcomponents for future phases, so we're going to need to continue to manufacture them into the future. And in order to do that, we're going to be purchasing some things from the Fix-It Awesome shop. I have a number of very interesting things already put into my cart that's going to let us have things like lights, different wall things for power, conveyor lifts, etc. But to do that, we're going to need to get ourselves some awesome coupons. So I'm going to print the coupons, which is of course going to give me an achievement for it being my first time printing coupons. And then we're going to go ahead and buy this. We've got more than enough. We're going to have 4 coupons left over, in fact.
If you sense your productivity slipping when it gets dark, don't worry, this is perfectly natural. Fortunately, Fix-It lights allow you to never experience wasteful darkness ever again.
I wonder if each of the things that I just bought would have had an ADA entry if I hadn't bought them all at once. Oh well, we may never know. However, what we're going to do is we're going to go up here. You'll notice I have a to-do list, and on that to-do list is a number of assemblers and constructors, and I believe that is the number that we're going to need to get our factory going for 10 per minute of both smart plating and versatile frameworks. And while we've got a lot of the subcomponents going on the first floor there, my hope is to actually change how I've been thinking about setting up the factory, which originally was going to be to bring in pre-constructed materials from below up to the next floor. Instead, I think I want to completely build one entire type of thing on a given floor. So we're going to be constructing versatile frameworks on the second floor here. And what I want to do is get our assemblers down to start with. We're going to need 2 assemblers to get to 10 per minute. And while I have spent a little bit of time figuring out what I need, I haven't actually figured out how to lay this out. But what I want to be able to do is leave enough space to run mergers and such off of the end of this. We might even put some storage up eventually. But either way, I think if I put this lined up like so, this is going to leave me enough to have mergers and splitters right here on the back side and have something on the front side. And we're going to need 2 of these. Now, I'm going to start off with just 1. And these are my versatile frameworks. And this requires modular frames and steel beams. Now, modular frames is easy, right? All we have to do is construct some reinforced iron plates as well as some iron rods. However, the smart plating also requires reinforced iron plates. And so this is where we get into maybe it's going to make sense for us to combine some of our construction and share that across both the smart plating and the versatile frameworks. And so what I'm thinking is that we're going to set these up right next to each other, and we'll end up having a belt of the finished product that we need to come into these two to get what we need. And that way we're not having to do a lot of moving stuff around for those modular frames. And then steel beams is just a material we have that we can start piping in here right away. Now you can see my inventory. I've got a ton of modular frames already and a ton of steel beams already that I could go ahead and get things started, but we're going to hold off and keep our materials in our inventory just in case we need them for something here. And now that we've got this first line, which is our 2 versatile framework manufacturers, which each are going to make 5 per minute, we're going to take a step back here and we're going to figure out how to get our total of 5 modular frames a minute into these 2. And in order to do that, we're going to need to set up additional assemblers, and we're going to do that right one step back here. And I'm going to use the H key here to hold this in place. And I think what I want to do with these, just realizing that I'm going to need a row of constructors behind them, we're going to actually rotate these this way, I think. And we're going to bring everything down to the end for the subcomponents and then belt them in for the final assemblers that we need. And I think we're going to take this approach where we do the modular frames on this side because only these versatile frameworks are going to need them. And then I will do the smart plating stuff down the other side. So I'm just looking, the assembler fits perfectly on one of these. But then I'm guessing that any extra bits is going to cause it, to have to bleed over by a thing. That's okay. For modular frames, if I remember correctly, I'm going to need 2.5 of these. Now, we're going to have some inefficiency because I still haven't unlocked the ability to clock down, so we're just going to overcompensate. I'd rather have extra materials sitting there unused and use up a little extra power. So I'm going to need 3 of these to get to 5 modular frames per minute. So I'm going to go ahead and get those queued up. And as you can see, these are going to need reinforced iron plates and iron rods, which is great. We're going to need these reinforced iron plates for smart plating as well. So if we come over here now, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a space, and then I'm going to do my smart plating right over here. We're going to start these off. I just want to get them lined up in the same line as the other assemblers. I'm going to need 5 assemblers to get 10 per minute of the smart plating. And part of that is because this was the tier 1 item, so I think that they just like you to have to build up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go ahead and enable the smart plating recipe here. And that's, again, the same reinforced iron plate that we're trying to get for the modular frames and some rotors. So let me go ahead and just get these all turned on to the right recipe. And then with those turned on, what we need to do is set up the assemblers for making these reinforced iron plates. Now, reinforced iron plates are going to get fed not only straight into these, but also needed for the modular frame assemblers here. And so what my thought is for these is that if I run them down here, I can feed reinforced iron plates into each of these 3 that are needed to create the modular frames. And then I can have the belt angle off and head down the line for each of the smart plating assemblers. And so the goal here is going to be to set up the assemblers for the reinforced iron plates right behind these 3 assemblers and maybe offset just a bit. So if I look at this, that would shoot straight in there. This leaves me plenty of room to run not just this through, but then I'm also going to need to run the other material for modular frames, which is iron rods, which I'll have some constructors somewhere around here to run over there. So I like how that's lined up, but maybe because we do have quite a bit of space up here, and part of the goal was not necessarily to have the most cramped factories ever, is we're going to set this right there. And then I'm going to need 4 of these in total. I'm going to run 3 this way, and rather than crowd that side, we're going to come over here and we're going to crowd this way 1. And like I said, these are the reinforced iron plates, so I'll get those set up. And these are creating at 5 per minute. We only need a total of 3.5 of these assemblers because I need, I think, 10 per minute here. 3, 6, 9. Well, I think I actually only need 7.5 per minute in theory, but we're going to end up using more because we can't underclock the machines here. But this is going to suffice for what we actually need. Once the factory starts to get backed up because we're not able to use all the materials, it'll all balance itself out. Now, behind the reinforced iron plates, we are going to need a lot of screws and a lot of iron plates. But before we get into that, because that's all constructor work, let's finish with our last 3 assemblers, which is, I believe, the rotors necessary for the smart plating. I'm going to need 2 in each of these to get to 10, which is 2.5 assemblers worth of rotors. And rotors are also screws and iron rods. So we need to figure out a good place to put these where I'm going to be able to get to the same screws that I'm bringing in for my reinforced iron plate. I'm going to need 250 screws a minute for these constructors versus the 210 per minute that the reinforced iron plates are going to need. So since the smart plating is the only thing that needs the output from these machines, I think what I'm going to do is set up their output facing away from this, and then I can run my screw lines down, and I'll have one line run over here, and then I can like circle it around and have the excess go back into one of these machines, since I need a little bit more for rotors than I do for the reinforced iron plates. And that means I might need a little bit of room in here, but not a lot. So this should work out pretty good for us. I want to back this guy up. 1 plate is generally enough to get multiple belts in with mergers and splitters and stuff. That looks like I'll have plenty of room. So we'll just slap our 3 of these down. And like I said, these are the rotors. And now we have done all of our assembler work. We're down to just constructors. So one of the easiest constructors will be we need 6 constructors to keep up, or we need 5.25 constructors to keep up with the reinforced iron plates right here. And then we need 10 constructors to keep up with the screw requirements between this and this. So I think what I'd like to do first is find the best spot to set up the screw constructors. Now we are starting to run pretty low on space up here, quicker than I anticipated, but I think we'll be able to handle it. What we're going to do is we're going to have coming into the screws, I'm going to need about 120 iron a minute. So what I can do is set up a kind of double lane of them here across the middle and do them 5 back to back. We might need to expand the factory just a little bit more, though, this way. I think what I'm going to do is add a couple more layers of foundation here, and just to make sure that we keep the proportions the same everywhere, I'm going to fill in our roof quickly. Oops, there we go. And what we want to do with these constructors is I'm going to set them up so that the ore comes in the middle, and then I'm able to run a line of screws out either end, so something like this. And I just want to keep in line with what we've done in other spots here. I don't want to get too close. This is going to be a line that runs down that way to go feed the assemblers. This is going to be a line that comes out this way, I think, to feed this stuff. So this should be enough. Let's error one to the inside here, and then so before I switch sides, we'll get all 5 on this side going. 3, 4, 5, and then I'll rotate. And what did we do? We put it 1 off like this. Let's just double check that I'm lining these up the same way. That'll do it. We could get these closer if I really wanted to. And then just while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and drop the splitters in here. All of my feeding lines are going to end up being Mark III belts today, even when I need less materials, just so that I can get the machines saturated as fast as possible and get everything working. But I will continue to use lesser belts for the machine hookups where I know I'm only going to use a little bit of material. All right, so I'll get all of these alternate screw recipes set up. I'll get the power wired up real quick, and then we'll jump on to the next batch of constructors. And I just want to start hooking this stuff up before I forget where the different lines are meant to run. All right, so I've got all of this belted up and wired up with recipes in all of the machines. We're going to go ahead and run a belt out of here. There's 250 screws coming on this side, 250 on this side. So I'm going to take this first batch and we're going to bring it right over here with the intent of bringing it into a set of splitters. Let me actually just set up the splitters now so that I know everything is lined up in a good way. And we're going to do the same thing we usually do where we belt the other belt up and over, I think. So I can just drop these right in here. We'll hook them up real quick. I got these closer if I needed to. I don't need to. Actually, I think I should probably get them one step closer. That's a pretty big gap. It said that they were colliding, but I think that it's being a little bit picky here, so that looks pretty good. Is that right? I don't think I did that right. And we'll just hook these up real quick, and much like we did for the other side, Mark III's all the way for that. And actually, I did that wrong. The belts connecting to the machines need to be at least a Mark II, because each of these needs, I think, 100 screws a minute. Yep, 100 screws a minute. There we go. All right, like I said, one of these should be getting underclocked by 50%. We just don't have the materials to do that just yet, so we're going to just live with it as is, and I'm going to pipe this straight in. There we go. Now we're going to be getting screws in here. I do need power for these three, so what I'm going to do is we're going to upgrade this pole here to a Mark II. Oh, is this already a Mark II? It is. Well, that's convenient because I'm going to bring this over here as a Mark I and hook all of these guys up to it. All right, now we've got power. We've got belts for the one recipe, And screws are good to go there. What's the other thing that I needed to connect for screws? It's all of these reinforced iron plates. So I'm going to do the exact same thing we just did here and hook up the screws for this using the same general mechanism. So let's go ahead and have it belt in like so. And we'll just go down the line. Now each of these only needs 60 per minute, which is a tier 1 belt. So that's all we need to run. But of course, we'll do the Mark 3s up the way. And just like the other side, we're going to grab the far end with the Mark 3 belt and run this right on over here to the other belt. Let me see if I can keep these nice and tight because we're going to have a lot of other stuff in here. Perfect. That's looking mighty good. Now I do need to get some power again, so I'm going to grab the power here. Did I run a power pole for these on the backside already? I feel like I did. That must have been the other machine. So I'm going to run a Mark 1 power pole right in between here. Nope, I'm running Mark 2s apparently. That's okay. Mark 1 wouldn't have worked anyway. Now all I need is some iron plates in here. That is going to require 6 constructors because I'm going to need 30 on each of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could get away with 5 1/4. What else do I need iron plates for besides these? Oh, it's because I've got 4 of them. That's not a problem. What we'll do is find a spot to set up the iron plate constructors, and then I'm also going to need some iron rod constructors. The iron rods are going to be used for this setup over there, and then I believe this setup over here. So I'm thinking that what we'll do is we'll set up the iron rods right here in a way that I can feed the ones that need to go there and then the ones that need to go over here. I've said it before, I might need to expand this that way, but we'll see how far we get. If I need 6 of each, I could do a double run of them. I could get away with it being as forward as that, maybe even 1 step forward to put a merger on there, but I'll leave it back here. And I'm gonna scoot over this way as far as I can. 1, 2, 3. And I'm gonna put the splitter in next just to make sure I'm leaving myself enough room. Okay, we've kind of made a mess here in that this is not enough room, which is a little unfortunate, but we can rectify this problem pretty quickly by first getting rid of these walls, and then there's no reason the factory can't go this way by 1 more set of platforms. So let me get rid of some more walls here, and we're just gonna bring our foundations out to here, and I'm gonna move this whole setup over. And this is where I'm vaguely reminded that I have this setup already in a blueprint. It's for screws technically, but I think it's exactly what I want to do. Let's push H here for a second and figure out what I need to do to get this to line up like so. And then I need to get over here and figure out what I need to do to line it up with the back of these other machines. I think it's right about there. So I would have iron rods coming out that side and iron rods coming out this side. And then this would be my input for the iron ingots, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just make sure. Yep, input. Okay. So let me just come through and switch out these recipes to the iron rods that we need so that when I fire this whole thing up, it doesn't get all bent out of shape because I'm putting the wrong resources on the wrong belts. It's always a pain to clean up. Perfect. And then here we needed 12 per minute. That's not a big deal. And then was this the other place? No, where did I need the other iron rods? Over here, I need 20 per minute on each of these lines. So I think what my plan was to run all of those iron rods down this way and then belt them around and run them this way. I could have done it the other way, but the way it's all set up, I don't know if I want to bring them all the way down here. I guess I could bring these this way and then bring the others around and send them that way first. It doesn't really matter, folks. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to have these be the lifts for the iron rods. I'm going to run splitters on each of these, and I'm going to run mergers on each of these, and I should be able to support all of these iron rods coming through the same thing. I'm not sure I set those other ones up correctly, though. I'm going to have to double check that. All right, because we're only making 15 a minute. Yep, we should be good to go. So I know I'm doing a lot of rambling to myself here as we go through this, but it's all gonna make sense in a few minutes, I promise. Mark 3s, and then this is gonna come around to these other ones. I need to go up and over because I need to get this belt through at some point. So I think what I'm going to do is bring this right here. I am going to do this in the same way, even though I don't need to, just to get them at the same height. And I'm going to do it all the way around, I think. Mergers continue around on this side. And then they're going to get to being splitters over there. Okay, perfect. So then if I take this Mark III and I bring it right into this, oh, it's not going to do just a straight up shot for me. Oh, that's kind of disappointing. I was hoping that it would not do that. Oh, default mode works. Sometimes straight mode gets confused. Okay, iron rods there, and then I needed iron rods here. This is going to work out perfectly. So we'll just put these in like so. There's going to be some clipping there because I did not plan ahead. That is probably why it wanted me to put them a little bit more towards the center before. It's okay. Got our splitters lined up, and then I just need to bring this belt to there and finish running it through like so. Okay, iron rods taken care of. What are we missing? reinforced iron plates need to come over here, and then they need to go down to all of those. I've not thought my placement through particularly well here for my reinforced iron plates. We also need to finish piping in the iron plates, which we haven't set up the constructors for just yet. So, how am I going to do this? The goal was to merge them and then split them, but the way that they end up straight across like this is not particularly convenient. I'm gonna run these a little close, and I know my belt's probably gonna clip as a result, but that should leave me enough room to bring these outputs back here with a merger. Like so. And then this should come right out into all of these splitters, which I need to hook up or we won't be getting anything into the machines. All right, let me take a small break here. I've got to get more supplies for my belts, and we'll be right back to finish the last bit of the setup here. All right, I have expanded the base up here. I forgot that I didn't have the recording on. We expanded it out another level, and I've got our 2 towers feeding into the 2 parts of the base that we've already set up here. Got a little bit of clipping here with these belts, but that's okay. What I'm doing now is looking for any of these that aren't lighting up green and just making sure that they're hooked up and that it's just that they don't have materials yet. This is getting stuff. It's looking good. Same over there and same over here. Everything looks good. Everything looks hooked up as far as I can tell. So we are moving our screws out of the facility down our 2 lanes, and we're starting to stock up in here. We still need to get the iron plates moving. That's the last bit of this, but it looks like we're already making rotors. And so I'm just going to continue to check that we're getting materials in both of these. And like I said, it doesn't surprise me that things are still in the yellow a little bit as the factory gets up and running, gets itself backlogged. I just need the iron plates now, and we should have all parts of this up and running, and we'll be able to follow and check those reinforced iron plates. I do need to get the steel beams up here still, and I need to pipe these modular frames over from, is it this? Yeah, the modular frames from here. So let me go ahead and just do that while I'm standing here thinking about it. That way we don't forget. And then I might as well get the output of the reinforced iron plates mapped into these as well. So let me grab our conveyor lifts into, oops, that one's gonna be in the wrong spot. Into all 5 of these. And our same splitter logic into all 5 of these as well. Just making sure I've got it all lined up. Oh, and I'm completely wrong. These are for the rotors, so I've got my splitters going the wrong way. The rotors are actually down here on the other end. Right? Rotors for this? Yeah, rotors. So I've got rotors right here, which means I need my splitters to come in from this aisle and then head down the line like so. And then to make life easy, we'll do the same setup here, merging them towards this. And then if I'd paid a little bit more attention, I probably would have tried to get that lined up straight when we built everything, but that's okay. Not a big deal. It all works out. And you can already see the mergers are coming down into, or the mergers, the rotors are coming down into the smart plating assemblers. So I know that whole assembly line is up and running, and we just need the plates now. I don't see any other missing inputs here. So let me get these set up. We're gonna need the Mark 1s, 30 per, yep. So Mark 1 elevators, oops. And I just need my splitters hooked up real quick here. Piece of cake. We'll run all of this material in like so. And we're on to the last part, which is the 6 constructors worth of iron plates. That's gonna be right here. And all I need to do is leave enough room to have a splitter behind it, which that should be enough. And I want this to be lined up with that right there. We're gonna be merging 5 of these together. So before I go and set all those up, for once, I'm gonna try and be smart. And we'll put this right here. And we'll run that up like so. Oh yeah, that looks good. So now we can take and do the rest of these. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, please let there be room. Why is there not room? You know what? It doesn't really matter which side I merge from. I can merge from both sides. And I'm just gonna grab all of these as iron plates, and then I have to run power, and then we have to run material to them. Well, I suppose we have to hook them all up with mergers too. You know, just to get the material going the way we want it to. All right, all hooked up there. I'm gonna have 6 of these. Let's see if we can find some power. There's some power. And I'm gonna run that to right there. I'm gonna... Oh, is that already a Mark II? I must be building Mark IIs by default right now. Okay, all of these have yellow lights now, which means that they should have power. And we've got a whole bunch of plates running. All I need is to bring in another belt worth of materials here. So let's get that going. I think I like how I did that, where it came up from underneath. Maybe we'll try and do the same thing. I'm going to figure out where the best place for that is by putting a splitter right in front of this. Maybe I'll put a splitter here. We'll bring it up on this wall right next to me. You know what I can do? We've got these new things. Where'd they go? Logistics, conveyor lift floor hole. If I do this, maybe that's too far away, but can I... Oh yeah, I can put it right into there. Let me change that around then. Conveyor lift floor hole. I'm gonna put that right up next to it. And then if I go like this, does it actually connect? Guess we're gonna find out. All right, we've got that all taken care of. Now I just need to come down here and look for the hole in the floor and figure out where that's gonna get run to. We are gonna have some clipping, I fear. Oops, what did I do? All right, let me see if we can find a good way to do this. If I run default and I bring it right up along this other one. Maybe I'll bring it one this way. And now we run into the problems where I need to try to get as much as possible into all of these belts. I need 100 Actually, I only need 80 for the constructor here, but I've only got 2 outputs. I need 157 for the iron plates, actually. And then I need 115 and 80 for the other 2. So I got a total of 352 a minute that I need, probably a little bit more since I'm overbuilding for everything. So what we're gonna need to do is build a balancer to go from 2 belts of this to 3. So instead of having this whole spaghetti mess right here, I'm trying to think where I can do a proper balancer. So after doing some basic math, I have discovered that I really don't even need to have a 3rd belt. All I need to do is split the belt that I've already got up there, and that's what we're gonna do. So I'm reworking things, getting rid of that belt that we just ran up through the floor. We might need to make some of this look prettier eventually, but I'm doing the math here, and I only need 90 iron ingots per minute to run the iron rods, and in fact I need less than that probably. So if I were to put a splitter in right here, I would be able to split this 270 off and have more than enough for the plate constructors over here. So I'm going to put a splitter in right in front of this window. And that's gonna feed not only our iron rods, but also the iron plates. Because if I take 90 off of the top for this, which I won't even need, these are gonna back up and I'll be using less of it. That leaves me with 160 for over here. And I probably need, what, 6 times 30? I need 180 technically, but I don't need that many plates. And this should balance everything out for us pretty quickly here. So now what I'm doing is just looking for yellow lights to make sure that it's a machine that I've checked, to see that it's just that we're backed up a bit here. So like if I put some extra iron ingots in there, that one's gonna get started. This one's going, it's just being a little slower than some of the others because it's at the end of the line. And I think we're good to go. So I'm gonna come over and check these. We're making reinforced iron plates at 5 per minute now. And then let's get down the way here and start checking on our other machines. I've got to figure that out still, but here we're waiting on the reinforced iron plates to start coming out, which is this right here. So we're gonna watch this come through at 5 per minute. I'm just making sure everything's all hooked up here. And at 5 per minute, this should give me 1 for each of them as they come through the splitters up ahead. So I'm just watching for where these go. There's that. Where'd that go? Oh, we're splitting in to make modular frames first. Of course, that makes sense. And our modular frames are going to come in right here. This one didn't get lined up like the other one, so I'm going to dismantle that real quick and put the splitter in the right spot. And these are just waiting for enough reinforced iron plates to get going. Oh, here we go. We've got the first modular frames off the belt and on the way. And of course, they're going to go right into this one because I forgot to hook this belt up. But there we go. We're starting to stack up modular frames. I just forgot about the steel beams. I'm going to kind of empty some of my inventory out and put what we've got in each of these machines. And then I need to run steel beams up here as the last resource. So let me go down here and see if I can find the steel beams. They're all the way down on the other end here. That's all right. And then I will see if I can bring them out and up. And what would be useful actually is if I put a hole in the floor for these. Oops, oops, oops. So let me just go up here and figure that out. To start with, I'm going to be bringing them up. And then I think the conveyor floor hole was here. Well, let me put the splitters on. This belt right here might be blocking me. All right, I think I've got that figured out. We'll find out in a second. But putting it in like this first is going to help me figure out where that is down below. And I should be able to run my resources from over there right on over here. So I think I can reach that from here. The other belt is in my way. Might have to get creative. There we go. And if I just grab this, bring it over here, I think that'll be steel beams running up there. Let's go find out. I see the conveyors moving. That's a good sign. There it is. Steel beams. No problemos. All right, so everything's green. Everything's starting to stock up here. And let's just check these out. I'm not getting reinforced iron plates over here yet. Oh no, I've got one in here. So we are already making smart plating. I've made 5 there. I've made 3 over here. I'm gonna make less as we get further down the line just due to the nature of how the system works, but that's all right. We've made something in all but the last one at this point. That's great. This whole facility will start to work its way out here on its own. Now, all I got left that I want to do is combine all of these together and send them up to the top floor so that we can start automatically feeding these into the space elevator. So I'm gonna just run them all in a single belt because it doesn't really matter here if they're on a separate belt because it's so low volume. You know what? I'm gonna turn these around and we'll run them all into this middle section and up. I think that the space elevator's somewhere right above me. All right, that was a lot of belts to connect. Let me just figure out how we're gonna get up to the 3rd floor here and hook this all up. 4? Ooh, can I bounce off of this guy? I'll just run it up there. We'll see if it's high enough. All right, up on the top now. There should be some inputs right over here. Oh yeah, that's plenty tall enough. Right on into here. And just like that, we are now feeding in phase 2 parts to our space elevator. I love it. While that goes about its thing, we're going to go off camera for a second, and I'm going to tear down this whole setup in here because this is all just not necessary. This was an attempt at doing something a certain way, and I just didn't like how it worked out. So let's see if I can do blueprint dismantling at a minimum. It's gonna save us some time. So after lots of dismantling, we've got this all cleared out. Some of these assemblers left some really creepy like windows into the shadow realm. I don't know what's going on. I'm sure if I were to restart the game, that these would go away, but they're really kind of cool to look through. The other side, they're invisible from the backside, so who knows what that's all about. But one of the cool things is we've got a full storage container of rotors over here, and I want to say that we've also got a full container, full container of modular frames here too. So that's really cool. I'm sure we'll find a use for them. However, with that, as you can see up above, we're at 87 of the smart plating and 98 of the versatile frameworks already. That's cranking right along. We do still need 100 of these other doohickeys, which we will have to set up a assembler for here at some point. That's going to require stators, and that means that we need a little bit of the steel pipe and a little bit of, I think, wire and cables. It's going to be pretty easy, though, to make the automated wiring. We've got all the copper here. In fact, for the 100 we need to get to phase 2, I could just craft those, not by hand, but by setting up a chest and letting it go to town. However, we're good to go here. The reason we're not really cranking away here is we're going to run out of iron soon. The truck depot is already out of iron. And so I need to figure out where our tractor ended up. Looks like he's coming back right now with another load. I'm kind of curious to see how full he's getting right now, if our iron facility over there is keeping up or not. So we're gonna try and open his container here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're not bringing back full loads, that's for sure. So next episode, we're gonna ramp up our iron supply and get that original starting base all set up to deliver the maximum amount of resources over here. And then we're also gonna get the very last of our components set up so that we can launch this phase 2 of the space elevator. Shouldn't take too long now that we've got this going, as long as we keep all of these machines full of iron. As the base starts to level out and the iron starts to back up on the different lines, like this one, you can see that it's already backed up. We are going to see this factory really kick itself into gear and start producing at 10 a minute. That's what, 100 minutes to get to 1,000. That's nothing in Satisfactory terms. We could always expand this whole footprint a little bit if we needed to, but I think 10 a minute's going to be fine. That's an hour and some change, and we will be spending at least that much time reworking our logistics over at the other base to get us to where we need to be able to expand. This has been a long episode, I'm sure. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And if you have, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. That's all for today. Kedrick out.